I know we have a packed house. Our intentions are just to kind of give you a brief overview of what dual credit looks like at BHS and CHS, and then give you guys the opportunity to complete the forms and the process. We've kind of created a checklist sheet for you there per campus. Some of this can be done at home. Obviously, we've got a lot of people here. We can also open up some labs and spread out a little bit as you kind of work through that process. So we just wanted to give you a quick overview, and then we can, work on the different pieces. I should introduce myself. I'm Caitlin Hauk. I'm the College Readiness Coordinator here at Burleson High School.
I'm Jason Hahn. I'm the College Readiness Coordinator at Centennial. And one reason we wanted everyone here is because taking a dual credit class is not the same as any other class. There is a lot you have to do just to be eligible. And we want to make sure that you're familiar with the process so we can get this done quickly, so that way you'll be ready to go in August once we start actually registering for courses. It's not just I want to be in the class and get in the class. And then you want to...
Yes, and we do have our dual credit liaisons here from Hill. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and say their exact titles.
Hi, my name is Darren Dorm. I'm the Director of Dual Credit at Hill College, and I'm here to support you any way we can. We're excited to see this large crowd, and we're thinking we should have brought like 20 more people, but we'll get through tonight.
Definitely. And I am Paige Long. I'm the Student Navigator. I work directly with Darren for all things dual credit. You'll probably talk to me a lot of the times whenever you either email or call us. I'm usually the kind of go-to. So yeah, feel free if you have any questions or anything to reach out.
And I know I have at least one of my dual credit teachers here. Where's Mr. Rogers at? So Jared Rogers, he teaches dual credit government and U.S. history, so he'll be around afterward at Centennial. He'll be around afterwards if you have questions specific about his courses. And we may have some other of our dual credit teachers show up as well, and we'll introduce them if they do.
All right, so very basic, what is dual credit? It's an opportunity for you guys your students to get credit from the high school and the college level by taking the same course. And they'll get a Hill College transcript with those courses on there. Do you want to add benefits?
Yeah, kind of the main benefit why many of our students want to take dual credit is because if you pass the college class, you get college credit and high school credit, as opposed to an AP class where you can pass the class all year, but it comes down to that one AP test day and how you do on that one AP exam. There are still benefits to AP exams, and Ms. Halk and I can go over that with you later if you're not sure which one's the right for you and where it is you want to go to college. But for many of our students, I'm sure if you're here, you are looking at dual credit as an option to get high school and college credit at the same time.
These are currently some courses that we have offered as dual credit. Our English 3, English 4, U.S. history, government, biology will come at CHS or anatomy, college algebra and elementary statistics, EMT, and Mr. Hahn wanted to add something about
so the courses that we offer dual credit depend on two things: our availability to have an instructor and the amount of students that request a course. Okay? In the past, we have been able to offer economics, but we don't currently have an instructor. If students want to take courses online through the college on their own, you would need to speak with Ms. Halk and I to go through that process. But these are the courses that we're intending to offer on our campuses next year with our instructors. Okay? And again, these would also be subject to having enough students interested in the class to have them make. We're trying to offer anatomy at Centennial next year because we have a teacher who's qualified, but we have to have a certain number of students for that to happen.
So eligibility requirements, they need to have completed 8th grade. We'll have to have a qualifying college readiness score. That looks looks a little bit different for everybody. So we will work with our kids on our campuses to make sure that we're communicating what those are for your specific child. They have submitted their forms. They're going to have to submit a permission form for Hill specifically. They will have to submit, your student will have to submit a BISD permission form. The parent will have to submit a BISD permission form. And we will have to, of course, have the Apply Texas and that piece taken care of as well.
Which is steps 1 through 4 on the handouts.
And then, of course, that they meet the college's prerequisite requirements for those courses that they're trying to enroll. Is there anything that y'all might want to add with eligibility?
Not so much eligibility as what you talked about before. It's important that the student knows not only their personal email or school email, but also know your parents. There's a lot of parent-related questions in there. Some are kind of tricky, such as, how long have you lived at your house? How many years and months have you lived in Texas? So it's some really interesting questions that are there, but it's very important that students have access to you while they're doing it, because there's going to be questions and things that they will need from you.
And just a note to go along with that, we really try to encourage self-advocacy with our students. This is a good step to kind of get them into adulthood, filling out these forms and everything that we're going to need for college. You are more than welcome to be there and help them with this, but we really encourage them to try to do it on their own, and you just assist as needed.
Very briefly, here's kind of an admissions timeline. They're going to complete Apply Texas. They'll complete, of course, all the forms. There will be a process where Mr. Hahn and I are sharing their transcripts with Hill College so that they can add that to their file. We'll share their scores, their qualifying scores. So there's a little bit of a lag time there for us to be able to gather all of that information and share it with them, and then for them to get that entered. So they're doing that one at a time. It's all human. It's not computer generated, so you be patient with this as that piece is moving over. And then we'll start the registration process. We always invite them out to try to do a registration night where they're there to help us get logged in. If there's any technical issues, if there's any random holds, they're really helpful for that. So we try to partner with them for that.
One thing about registration is you will not register for the Hill classes until August, because you have to get your school schedule to see, okay, I'm in government this period, so this is the section I need to. So right now we're getting up to the Apply Text and the items, and then in the fall we'll get with you about how to actually, before school starts, how to register for those specific sections that you want.
Then we'll need to make payment immediately after registration. You don't want to wait for that. You'll end up getting dropped from your course if you don't pay after registration. And then at registration, we can explain how to make sure that your payment is submitted in a timely fashion and an easy fashion. And then, of course, you're going to want to make sure that you're taking care of, if you need anything specific for that class, like our math classes have a lab that our teacher likes. So you want to make sure that you know about that, that you know your Hill College ID. I'm just going to say, if you go ahead and take that ID, put it in your notes, text it to yourself, write it down, put it on your mirror, you're going to need it every single time you log in for everything that you do, and inevitably nobody knows it. Okay? So when you get that Hill ID, save it. Make sure it's an easy place to find, and it's going to save you a lot of headache moving forward if you have that easily accessible.
And you'll get that ID once they process your Apply Texas application. They usually Paige or someone else will send that out to you with kind of your next steps, but that will come once your Apply Texas gets processed. Hopefully a few days after you submit it, but depending on how busy they are, it could be a little bit longer than that.
For Apply Texas, also, whenever you do that application, make sure you save that username and password that you create, because you will need that in the future also.
You know, we've talked a little bit about Apply Texas. I'm just going to kind of briefly touch on it here because this is something that it's on your checklist. You can start working on that. Mr. Hahn and I will for sure be here a little bit later to kind of assist with that if you want to stick around for that piece. These guys will be here for just a little bit to help. I don't know how, but there's 4 of us. We're going to do as much as we can. But you can do this at home as well. One of the biggest things that we want you to know that you do is make sure you put that social security number in there. Because if you skip it and you wait, you'll have to send in a verification of the social security.
Yeah, Apply Texas says that it's optional, but it's not optional for Hill College.
If you need, if you're working on that process and you don't know it, or your student doesn't know it and it's just us, we can look that up and help you out with that. Any other tips with Apply Texas that they might want to know?
I guess the biggest thing is you don't have to answer every single question on it. Only do the questions that have the red asterisks by them, and it will.
Except
save you
social security number.
Yeah.
Except for the social security number, you have to have the social security number on there also. But everything else, just do the ones with the red asterisks by them, and it'll save you a bunch of time.
And then the only other thing that I think we run into a lot of times is our students create their Apply Texas profile and then think that they're done. And they didn't actually do the next step, which was apply to Hill College. So double check that you actually followed through with that application. Okay, FERPA. This is a fun one. The Hill College form that you're filling out that is
Step 2.
Step 2 on your sheet is the FERPA form that gives the student is giving permission for the parent to see their college stuff, to be able to talk to somebody. Like if mom were to call up to Hill College to talk to somebody about their student and the student didn't release you on the FERPA form, they can't share any information with you. So that is a requirement that we have taken care of, is that FERPA form.
As a college student, even if you're 16 years old, as a college student, Hill College cannot release your educational records to anybody without your written permission, even if you're calling up to pay the bill. Okay, so on that form's a little tricky because the student will sign and submit it. It will be emailed to the parent's email that they put on the first section, and then the second, and then mom or dad has to open that email, that link from their email, and sign it and submit it. Then it comes to either myself or Ms. Hout to sign it and submit it. On the second part of that form, the student can list up to two parents for the FERPA release. Okay, so one is required. But they can put mom and dad if they would like on that form.
So double check. One of the biggest hiccups that I get all the time with this is either the student didn't type the parent's email in there correctly, or they did and it was emailed to the parent and then the parent didn't go to that specific email address and open it up to sign it.
The email says something like DBS live forms. It's not usually flagged as spam. The other thing about that form is it does require either the Hill College ID or social security number. So right now you can just put the social security number and not worry about the Hill College ID. Yeah. That's what we just talked about here.
Yep. The permission form is the FERPA form that we talked about. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. This is the official scores. I know you guys can't see this. We're going to share it out with you later so you'll have access to this chart. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it's unique to each kid depending on the courses that they've taken. And we have to kind of jigsaw some of these scores. So Mr. Hahn and I are looking at your student scores. We are identifying what it is that they need in order to be eligible with their test scores, and we will communicate that with you.
Yeah, most of the classes that our students take as dual credit do require the English TSI. Okay, so that even taking not just English but U.S. history, government, biology, they're considered reading and writing intensive courses, so students must meet TSI. This is state law. We can't waive that and say, oh, you don't need to worry about that. They have to have these scores. For many of you, it's going to be your English 2 EOC score for English. And then the math is required if you're taking a math course, which is much fewer of our students. If you're just taking the EMT course, then TSI is not required for that.
In order to take the TSI, Mr. Hahn and I offer that on our campus. We'll communicate that with our own kids whenever we start sending that information out as to what our dates are. It's $15 to test with us. In the event that you're not able to test when we're offering it, Hill College does have a testing center. You may go there to take your TSI. If it's during the school day, if you'll email me I'll need your testing results anyway, but when you email me, I see the date and the time, and I can address attendance for that. So we want to make sure that y'all are getting that taken care of and that there isn't a hindrance.
Yeah, Ms. Houck and I will offer the TSI in April. We can't in May because we have to do AP testing. But you can take as many times as you want. If you're a sophomore right now, we'll be looking at those English 2 EOC scores, but we won't get those usually till the very end of school. So we'll be reaching out to you specifically through email about if you need TSI or not. Okay. Right now, tonight, we're not as worried about this. We're worried about the paperwork.
Whenever your kids start their dual credit course, they will get. We talked about the Hill College ID and how important that is. They're also going to get a Hill College email. It is important that they are accessing their email and that they know how to log into their email because that's how they will get communication from the college. The college isn't going to send an email to their BISD email address. So it's very important that they are accessing that, they know how to log in, and they're checking it regularly. The same with their college professors. A lot of times if it's a dual credit with somebody here on our campus that's teaching it, they are communicating through BISD email, but in the chance that your kid's taking a dual credit course online, that will be through their Hill College email address. Is there anything extra there? Sometimes we have an extra note on the Hill College email. No. Schoology is what our instructors will use with Hill, and that's where they put their grades, is in the Hill College Schoology. We had a lot of confusion with this, especially in our couple of COVID years when we had BISD Schoology and Hill Schoology, but just to make sure everybody is clear, the instructors will be putting it into the Hill College Schoology. And so, parents, you don't have access to that. So if you want to see your kiddos' grades, they need to log into their Schoology and pull up their grades, and you'll have to check it that way. Because you won't see the grades in Skyward, and you can't log in and see it as a parent in Schoology. So this is a lot of this is on the kiddos, and you're gonna have to check in with them, have them pull it up, make them show you how they're doing in their classes, so they don't fall behind.
And if you're taking a dual credit class with one of our BISD instructors, they will get a final semester grade in Skyward, but that's at the end of the semester. So their grade book for the course is through the Hill College Schoology.
And do you mind hopping back to that 1 second? I do want to add on our campus, I'm sure again at CHS, our instructors are really good about reaching out to us if a kiddo is not doing well. I'll get an email. We had an English project due. Sally didn't turn it in. Sally's sitting at a 52. If she doesn't get the next project in, she's probably not going to pass for the semester. And then I'm immediately contacting the counselor and the parent. So I'm sharing that information whenever those instructors share it with me. But they're really good about trying to give us a heads up so that we can say, hey, you need to have a chat with your kiddo because they're not doing too hot. And just as a reminder, students entering high school before the 2021-2022 school year, dual credit is on a 4.5 GPA scale. Students entering high school in the 2021 or 2022 after that school year, it's on a 5-point scale. Okay, so that is.
So if you're a current sophomore, again, generally you'd have entered high school 2021, 2022 after, and so it would be the 5-point scale versus the 4.5 scale.
Sophomore to 5, you said? Right now, sophomore.
Generally, it really is based on when you entered high school. So if you're a sophomore who's in your second year of high school, I mean, there is some legal terminology that we have to use. But if you're a sophomore, this is your second year of high school, then yes, you would have entered high school and you would fall under that.
Wait, so how does the 5-point scale affect our GPA and like overall?
If you will, you're on my campus, right? If you'll send me an email, I can call you in and we can go over that. And then lastly, well, I don't know if this is lastly, but tuition and registration for the 22-23 approximate of $363 for a 3-hour course per semester. Please note this is always subject to change. There might also be some additional fees, and it does need to be paid right when you register, definitely within the first couple of days.
And you can do a payment plan as well. So for the 3-hour course, that's going to be most of the courses that our students are taking. History, government, English, math. The science courses are 4 hours, so that fee is higher for that. EMT is different. But we just want to give you a general idea of what you're looking at. So, because that may be, what you have to decide if it's going to be, if you take 1 class, 2 classes, no classes, 4 classes.
AP versus dual. We do have some important dates on here. All of the forms that we have for you guys to fill out need to be completed by April 28th. That gives us plenty of time to help chase down you guys and help you complete the forms if needed, and double check that dual credit is still what you want to do, because when y'all leave us for the summer, it is so hard to find you. It's hard to find me sometimes, but that gives us plenty of time to make sure that that's taken care of. And then the TSI compliant, those scores, to make sure you're eligible with scores. That needs to be done prior to the first day of school. The last day to add additional dual credit courses, August 18th.
So this would be like if you're already know you're going to take English and you decide you want to add U.S. history. This is for people who have already completed their paperwork, because when the Hill College semester starts, registration doesn't stay open much longer after that.
We do have the census date for the fall next year, September 13th. And the last day to withdraw, November 17th, and the last day of classes is December 14th for the fall.
The other thing I want to add is if you need to make changes to your schedule, if you want to add dual credit classes, remove dual credit classes, you need to email your counselor, and the sooner the better. It's a lot easier for them to make changes right now before they build the schedule for next year, because they need to know, do we need 2 sections of English 3 or 3 sections? So trying to add courses in August, that's going to be subject to availability, right? But if we know right now we need to build this many sections, it's a lot easier for them to make these changes. The student does need to email their counselor. They do need it in writing from the student for that. And then our recommendation is, if you're even thinking about dual credit, do this paperwork. Okay, it's a lot easier for you to come back in August and say, you know what, we've decided that we don't want to do this. But if you come to us the first day of school and say, you know what, I didn't do any of this dual credit paperwork and now I want to, it might be too late. Because filling out all these forms, it takes them time to process everything and to get you into the system, and whenever and their cutoff date usually for processing applications just the Applied Texas application is usually going to be early August. Okay, so it's better to do this now. Tell your friends, if you're thinking about it, be ready, and then it may just be we're waiting on that TSI school. Okay, or it may just be you're still trying to decide, what are we going to be able to afford. It's better to get the paperwork done and be ready for that.
Accommodations. If your student receives accommodations through BISD, through your campus, they are not guaranteed those accommodations through their Hill College course. They must apply for accommodations through Hill. Okay? We reach out to our kids that we know receive accommodations at the beginning of the semester and remind them and give them the contact information. But I want to make sure that everybody understands that they have to be approved by Hill to receive their accommodations for those dual credit courses.
No, this is Noelle Barnes. She works. She got stuck in traffic. Did you have anything you want to add about accommodations? I know that's one of your areas.
Accommodations, I recommend reaching out to the phone number that's listed there, even if you're thinking, you're not sure, because sometimes documentation can differ. We are under guidance of different rules and laws for accommodations, so I would just recommend when in doubt, call that phone number. I'll be hanging around if you have specific questions. And to stress, not all accommodations are the same in dual credit like they are at your high school campus. So part of our job is to help your student navigate the differences between the two and then help them as they transfer after high school.
So that wraps up really what we have to say tonight. We have added a link down here for those of you that maybe can't easily scan your QR code on your sheet for you to be able to follow that process. First of all, was not expecting, according to our pre-registration and everything, this number. So I'm sorry for the cramped quarters and appreciate you guys coming. We do have some room.
And you can open the computer lab.
Yes, I'm going to open up both of the computer labs. We have some more room over there. So you can hang around and kind of work through those forms if you would like. If you want to start tackling Applied Texas, you're welcome to do that. Again, you can do all of this at home. So you're also welcome to kind
yeah, the big thing is get these forms done as soon as possible. Okay. Also, so on these forms that we hand out, and I'll refer to them. I was like, you need to do step 2. That's just easier when I'm talking to students and parents. Steps 2, 3, and 4 are shorter forms. They are very easy to do on the phone. So scanning the QR code is easy. Applied Texas, you're probably going to want to do on a desktop or laptop because that is a little bit more involved. So I think what we'll do for questions is would be better just to come around and answer questions. And so if you want to start working on your forms, if you want to have questions, if they're specific to BHS or CHS, you can ask Ms. Hauck or myself. And then we have some representatives from Hill College. We also have Dr. Hickman. You met him at the door. He's our Director of Advanced Academics, so he can answer some questions as well.
Is there anything?
Has anybody applied for Applied Texas before? If you have.